wondering if you could say something about this sutta, if you had anything to say about it. It's about Paticca Samuppada, just a short verse. Samyutta Nikaya 12:41. It says, and which is the noble method, which is properly seen by him, the noble disciple, properly penetrated with understanding. Here, householder, a noble disciple attends properly from the origin to this very dependent origination. When there is this, there is this. When there isn't this, there isn't this. When this arises, this arises. When this ceases, this ceases. And that's that noble method.
Noble method is noble understanding, noble discernment. So as the Buddha said, what method is there? It's the one where he properly attends. So you can't do Paticca Samuppada. You can either see it or not see it. And usually Paticca Samuppada is translated as dependent origination. And I suppose as a translation it's fine. But the problem is it carries on a view of an explanatory nature. So it's like cause and effect. That's how people regard Paticca Samuppada. Oh, this is the cause, this is the result, this is the new cause, this is the new result. But it isn't the way the Buddha described it. It's a principle whereby while this is present, this is also the result of it. So it's a simultaneous presence. So with the presence of feeling, there is presence of craving in regard to that present feeling. It's not your craving is the result of your feeling. They're simultaneously present to the same extent. Not knowing how to attend that, not seeing a necessary condition that presently endures within your enduring craving, that's how you crave. So, Paticca Samuppada, it's not an explanation of what happens to you. It's a direct insight of how to uproot things that happen to you. Liability to craving, greed, aversion, delusion, all these things. So that's why it's a noble method of overcoming suffering. But that's what we said. How do you do it? You noble disciple means you need to have a right view, and you do it by properly attending. So you are caught up in craving. You catch yourself full of desire for whatever, sense experience or desire to get rid of something. What is the necessary basis for that desire? Can you have desire without having craving? Can you I desire such and such things without craving those things? Can you have that? It's impossible. So then, any form of desire, doesn't matter the specifics of your desire, requires presently enduring craving, attitude of craving. And you can stop there. Now you can say, okay, so my desire is rooted in my craving. You're not basically overcoming it. You might have acknowledged it, which is a good first step, but that won't overcome it. So then the Buddha said you attend further. What is another necessary basis within craving? Necessary basis for craving.
Feeling.
Exactly. So you must be feeling either pleasant, must be feeling either unpleasant, or must be feeling either neither pleasant or unpleasant. So you started with, I want this so much that, I'm about to do unwholesome things just to get it. You don't do it, you practice sense restraint, but the desire is still there. Through that desire, you discern the necessity of presently enduring craving, which is basically the container of that desire. Now, through that presently enduring craving, you discern a necessary basis of presently enduring feeling, which is a container for your craving. And then you start dwelling, attending properly to the nature of that present feeling. Have you created it? No. Did you have said it? No. You're subjected to it. So it's not yours even if you want to make it yours. You're only basically maintaining it as yours through not seeing it that it isn't yours, and through giving in habitually towards the desire that's already contained within the attitude of craving. So through giving into the desire, you maintain ignoring the nature of the feeling, which is that it can't be yours. Because if you stop ignoring it, you see that it can't be yours, craving disappears. And disappears by being included within the arisen feeling, not by you choosing to like pick it and remove it.
So then when the craving disappears,
Mm.
are you talking about that's the right view then? That's
Well, all of this, like, if somebody has the right view already, all of this would be just further development of that right view. But even if you don't have the right view, training yourself how to discern craving within the desire, how to discern feeling within craving, not before or after, not as a result, psychologization or explanation, oh I crave because I've no. While you crave, you discern present enduring feeling. So while you crave, you feel, and it's the craving in regard to feeling. You cannot have craving second longer if the feeling disappears.
But you can have feeling.
Well, you can have feeling without craving, but the only way to understand that is through abandoning the craving. Not like finding out how to not crave on top of your craving. So the only way to abandon, to understand how you can have feeling without craving, is to first, through craving, you discern the necessary basis of feeling, and then abandon craving by fully understanding that necessary basis. That's exactly Paticcasamuppada, nothing else. With this as a necessary basis, this is enduring, engaging me, making me act, making me feel, all of these things. So that's why there's so many different variations of Paticcasamuppada in the suttas. 16 factors, 12 factors, 8 factors sometimes. Some omitted, some included, some added. Because they are the principle of discerning the necessary basis for another simultaneously enduring phenomenon. It's not an explanation. It's not like a linear sort of set of visualizations you have to go through in order to practice it. None of that. It's discerning. What is my present situation? Is there a sense desire in me? No. Is there absence of sense desire in me? Yes. What is the present feeling on account of that? Is there any desire towards that feeling? So now I have a peaceful feeling, neutral feeling. Do I have desire to sort of want that feeling more? In which case, well, it's not anymore neutral, it's unpleasant now.
And in regard to the body, seeing the body and external objects.
Yeah. Can you even fathom? Can you even think, imagine in utter complete abstraction an external object without the necessary basis of your body? Impossible.
So seeing those two.
Well, seeing basically the right order of things, seeing this within this, not this within that. And that's the difference in Paticcasamuppada. Like when not seen, then yeah, your feelings are a result of your craving, because that's how you assume them. They're not, but you don't know that they're not, and because of that, the only reality you know is the reality that yeah, you are craving and all this. That's why it's like a vicious circle. Until you understand that your craving cannot make a difference to the nature of being subjected to the feeling, and that your craving can never step outside of the feeling. It requires feeling as a necessary container for it to endure, for it to manifest. So you don't want to be reflecting upon Paticcasamuppada like on random things, because it's already subtle enough to be understood. You're going to just make it more abstract. So you want to find practical side of it. Practical is feeling freedom from it, as in freedom from craving in regard to it, which is freedom from suffering. Because one who sees the Dhamma sees Paticcasamuppada, one who sees Paticcasamuppada sees the Dhamma. So literally the entire Dhamma is in that principle. And why is that principle so important, so profound? Because if you see that your presently enduring desire fully embedded in the attitude of your craving for this to not be, craving for this to be, if you see all of that experience in its entirety as fully contained, fully determined, formed, the sankhara, by the presently enduring feeling that you've been subjected to, you haven't created it, you realize the utmost of your desires and cravings and wills, it's actually rooted in something else, not you, and thus cannot be yours even if you engage with it. But by not dwelling on that long enough, you do develop the notion of I am my own possessions, my own feelings, my own cravings, my own desires, and everything else is the result of that. But it's the other way around. So you want to start including it in a bigger context. Context that, yeah, your mind might be feverish with the desire for this particular object. Peripheral to that is the necessity of the attitude of craving. Can you have desire without craving for what you desire? No. So you realize, okay, so whenever there is a desire, I know craving is there. I don't need to see it written on the wall, craving. No, I know. Desire is present means craving is here. Desire is a symptom of the attitude of craving. Once you become familiar with that, you take it a step further, but the same principle. And that's what we meant. You learn how to attend properly. So instead of attending at what craving is pushing you towards, you attend at the necessary basis for the push of the craving. That yoniso manasikara, you attend to the womb, to the back, to the origin of this attitude that I have, that I'm not denying, but I'm not engaging with it either. That's where sense restraint comes first, then you get to understand, and then you just get to be drilling the same understanding through the same way of properly attending.
And that's the noble method.
That's the noble method, exactly. As concise as you can explain it.
Mm-hmm. There's another section here. In regard to the body, it says, when there is external name and matter, there is body. When there isn't external name and matter, there isn't body.
Mm.
When external name and matter arises, the body arises. When external name and matter ceases, the body ceases. So if you were seeing that, that's your if you were attending that description, that's the noble method.
Yeah. By seeing that necessity of presently arisen experience as a whole, be it, like in this case, your body, is rooted in a phenomenon different in your point of view, different in you. And when I say rooted, I mean simultaneously rooted. That's the important. That's why it's so hard to see, because we can understand causation. Oh, this is the basis, and this is the result. But it's hard to understand like a simultaneously enduring presence of two things determining each other. If you look at this one, it's determined by this one. If you look at that one, it's determined by the other one. So determination is opposite from where you look. And that's the simile the Buddha gave. It's like the two sticks holding each other. You remove one, the other one cannot remain. So it's not one stick comes first, then the other one follows. It's the two sticks determined to that extent.
So not a cause and effect.
It's not a cause and effect, no. It's whatever has presently arisen, within that, you also discern presently enduring basis for it. And you can't have that basis without this thing being there. How would you be discerning, oh, my craving has been determined, like my craving to get rid of this has been determined by an unpleasant feeling that also endures. How would you discern that if you haven't discerned the craving to get rid of this first? So you get to arrive at the determination, the necessary basis, the necessary container, on account of the presently arisen phenomenon that you became mindful of properly. As in, you haven't given into it by default, you haven't acted out of it, you became aware of its own endurance. And you were not habitually trying to get rid of it. I must deal with this, I must deal with this, I must deal with this. Craving is bad, craving is bad, craving is bad. Yeah, craving is bad. But you trying to get rid of craving cannot be rooted in anything other than craving. Thus, you trying to get rid of craving keeps perpetuating the craving.
But that you need craving for freedom.
You need something, yeah. You need craving for freedom, like as a startup for your practice, that can then eventually get you closer to learning how to attend to it properly, so you can actually free yourself from craving without craving it. And this is how you do it, as I was describing it. Yeah, you have to want to crave the freedom from suffering, which is another craving, and you'll suffer on account of it. But because of that suffering, on account of craving to be free from suffering, you will keep looking for the way out of suffering. You will keep reading the suttas, you will keep practicing, you will keep reflecting, you will be keeping the precepts. And all of that is actually bringing you closer to be free from suffering, bringing you closer to understand the craving. And the Buddha said that craving is to be abandoned by the means of craving. Conceit is to be abandoned by the means of conceit. You hear that such and such became Sotapanna or an Arahant, it's like, oh, if he can do it, I can do it. It's a conceited thought. But because of that thought, you actually might get and start making the effort. Start taking it more seriously, keeping the precepts more strictly, all that. And because of that, you will be free from conceit then. See, with your desire, conceited desire, that you wisely directed against itself, so to speak. But in order to do that, you need to know what you're supposed to do. You need to know what the practice is. You can't just be randomly denying, affirming, wanting, not wanting, and then hoping that the results will magically manifest. Only through understanding of what the problem is, you get free yourself from the problem. So suffering is the problem, the most obvious problem, because it's felt unpleasantly. Okay, so now understand it. Not just not feel it, but understand it. Freedom from suffering doesn't mean you never feel unpleasantly. It means you don't suffer on account of the unpleasant feeling. So, and that's achieved not by not feeling anything, as in no feeling manifested, but it's manifested through understanding whatever feeling is there. Because if you understand the characteristics of the feeling, as we just started this talk, you will be unable to crave it. And there is no craving, there's no feeling. There's no suffering.
That's another section. I can't find it, but so you know that one who sees mindfulness of the body sees deathless. The deathless.
Yeah, mindfulness of the body means understanding of the nature of the body. When you say body, my body, whatever that designation refers to, you have understood it. Through that understanding, that is how you partake in deathless, the nibbana, as in dispassion, absence, impossibility to crave.
Yeah, 'cause see the deathless.
Yeah, you can't like see the deathless.
Yeah.
You partake in it through understanding it. But as I said, all these things that you experience in your day-to-day life, your own craving, if you properly attend to it, will be pertaining to deathless. As in, absence of this is what presence of nibbana is. Absence of craving. Absence of craving. So to the extent that your craving is absent, to that extent nibbana is present. If your craving has been fully uprooted, nibbana has been fully developed. It's automatic. But only through understanding the nature of craving. Not through following blind method, technique or something that we just be doing and then somehow your craving is magically diminishing. Your craving diminishes when you understand what diminishing of craving is.
So when you are free from craving, is there's still simultaneous presence?
Yes. Yeah, but
There's
its
still
own body
things,
remains.
yeah.
The difference in its own body is not presence of the principle or not. Principle is always there. With this is. That's how things work. But with ignorance, Paticcasamuppada is referred to be as with the grain. So with feeling, craving is, with craving you have desire, with desire you have fighting and protecting and losing and suffering and all these things. Without feeling, as in without feeling being appropriated as mine, with feeling that's fully understood in its nature that cannot be owned, there is no craving. Without craving, there is no desire. So with this container present, this is present within it. With the absence of that container, this is absent within it. But the principle of that determination remains the same.
So the principle, could a person say, what would you say if someone said that the principle is what is behind that principle? What is the ultimate ground for what is the ultimate?
The two sticks holding each other.
Yeah. Is there something beyond
See,
that?
the principle, you cannot make principle into one thing.
Yeah. So,
But if you say, what is the ultimate behind this principle, means what I described as a principle of two simultaneous things, you're regarding as one, and now you're trying to determine what's behind it. Whatever it is, that's what the principle is. The relationship of these two things simultaneously present.
because even if you think there is this one ultimate ground,
well, you determine that. Yeah, exactly. How can you know the ultimate ground without thinking it? Which means that thought is already secondary, basically. to whatever you're feeling, whatever you're craving, whatever your views are, wherever your attention is. So the way to discern the principle correctly is to start including your way of attending to things in it. As in, you choosing to attend this is already within the principle. So you can't just leave your attention out and then discern the principle, because that becomes explanation. That becomes psychologization. And that's why it's not Paticampada.
That is the further, as far as a person can see, like in terms of phenomenology, that principle. Like there, you can't see.
Yeah, you can't step outside of it.
Yeah.
You can't step outside of it. That's why we keep talking about peripheral awareness and practicing mindfulness, and not like I'm mindful, but recognize your situation, see whatever you're attending, but keep a corner of your eye in the background, as in of how you're feeling, what the currently mood endures, because that is what's directing your attention. Like, if you're unmindful, like if you haven't recollected the right context of that craving is bad, for example, that craving results in suffering. If you don't have that context in your mind, enduring, when craving is present, you're going down the rabbit hole of your desire for whatever it wants. So your attention is fully sent and directed and thrown by that lack of understanding of the context of craving. If you do maintain the context that craving, it should be unwanted, because it always means presence of craving means presence of suffering. Thus craving means suffering. Desire is suffering in itself. That's why you give into it to try to get rid of it. You maintain that context. So now you're aware. So you are attending to what present state of mind endures, such as state of sensual desire or state of ill will. But that attention is not going all the way, because you are mindful of the context that sort of is a necessary container for it. So you're already, even unknowingly to that extent, certainly in the beginning, you're practicing the principle of Paticampada rightly. You're going against the grain, as the Buddha said.
You're not wanting it. You're not wanting
well, there is wanting,
yeah,
but you are now aware of the context that it's a necessary basis for your wanting. And the only way you can arrive at it is to first restrain the actions that are rooted in your wanting, the actions that come out as a result of your wants. That's why sila, virtue, sense restraint, is a necessary basis. It must be developed beforehand. Habit of, no, I will not engage with sensuality. No, I will not engage in ill will, in gossip, in malicious speech, in slander, and all these things. You don't know why, but you take it on trust that you won't do it, and because you haven't been doing it, you're training yourself to not automatically act out of presently arisen desire. By not acting automatically, you immediately force yourself to see the context of it. By acting automatically, you immediately jump down the rabbit hole and you don't see any context. It gets narrow and narrow and narrow. And that's exactly what sensuality is. And ill will, it is complete loss of perspective.
What about this idea of non-duality? See, that's the ultimate ground, like non-dual. So, Paticampada, you said it's duality.
Of course. The only way you can, how can you be aware of non-duality? Because your awareness is already different from that non-duality, which means there are two things, but you're just not ignoring one. You're ignoring your point of view, you're ignoring your perspective, you're ignoring your own awareness of the thing that has arisen, even if that's the ultimate reality of non-duality. Yeah, but you're aware of it, thus it's dual. But if you were to see that whatever is the object of my attention, including non-duality, the ultimate nibbana, means attention and object of it. Can I attend it if I haven't been subjected to the object? No. Would I know the object if I'm not attending it? No. Thus, two sticks determine each other, depending on where you look. And it's never the point to get your attention to attend to the origin or something of itself. That's inconceivable. You want to understand the background of what you're attending. That's where the determination of your attention is. So you're attending non-duality. What is the background of it? Well, it's certain desire, isn't it, of towards pleasure, towards the ideal of ultimate peace, of non-duality, and merging with a greater universe, reality, whatever you want to call it. It's motivated by that, and that's present there. Those are your intentions that make you think about non-duality, that you're clearly fully ignoring by over-committing to the reality of non-duality, which is, again, how can you know it unless you can think it? How can you think it without attending it? If you're attending something, your attention is not it. So the true non-duality then, even from that ideal of non-duality, would be complete unawareness of anything. Would be a complete non-existence. Because as soon as you're aware of something, to that extent, there is a difference. So then you say, oh, it's non-existent. How can you think non-existence? Because your thought is existing. So you're thinking non-existence by existing it? It's a contradiction in terms. Yet, here you are maintaining the attitude that when you think non-existence, when you think non-duality, when you think the ultimate reality, that is what ultimate reality is. Yet, it's only your thought. Cannot be anything different than that. So that's why the issue was never finding the reality hidden behind or running into some new astrally projected realm of non-suffering. No, it's just literally stop misconceiving things as yours through wrongly attending to them. What things? Your feelings, your intentions, your perceptions. That's it. Your mind. That is the ultimate.
And that's that sutta where the Buddha says he looks for who can he respect in the world higher than him.
Oh yeah, nobody.
Nobody. But then he says, why don't I
respect the Dhamma?
Respect the Dhamma.
Yeah, the principle that he discerned that made him the Buddha.
And so he dwelt respecting that, seeing that, and just
because if that principle, if things were not actually like this, as in if you were not subjected to feeling first as a necessary enduring container for your craving in regard to it, for your actions, for whatever else you have on top of it, you wouldn't be able to free yourself from it. The feeling would truly be yours. You would be its creator, its owner, its manifester. But you're not. You ignore the fact that you're not, and that's why you think you are. You stop ignoring it, you will stop thinking you are the master of it. But as I said, you have to reverse the order. So now the only feeling you know is the feeling through your craving. So you want to first discern that there is craving there, as in leaning towards, leaning against, attitude of yes, attitude of no. And I must get rid of it. No, I must discern the feeling within this attitude. And then that feeling will be seen as actually a necessary basis for this attitude. And that's how you surmount the attitude of craving. That's how you surmount suffering. And if that were not possible to do, you wouldn't have done it. So that's what we said. So why don't I then respect the fact that it was possible to do it? As in the universal principle.